Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Swedish Embedded TV Live, streaming live from Stockholm and streaming live at swedishembedded.com/live. So go there, subscribe, and let's get started. The first thing that I saw today was this. I started watching this video. I haven't actually watched this video, but this guy is drunk and he is standing inside the bear. Like this bear space, and this is apparently happening in a zoo in Poland. So this guy is trying to maybe wrestle the bear. I don't know. Let's check it out. And notice how all the people are just standing there and looking and filming. What an entertainment! It's actually really fun. And he actually jumped in the water. He actually went in the water. He's running away. I bet the bear thinks that it's like salmon or something. The bear is trying. Oh, the bear actually jumped after him. Wow. He's drowning the bear. He's drowning the bear. He's actually wrestling the bear in the water. The bear doesn't like that. So now he needs to get up. And before the bear can chase him, he needs to run away. But where will he run? Because he's in the bear space. He's actually punching the bear. He's actually punching the bear. He's making a run. He's making a run. The bear has no idea how to get up. Well, that was fun. That will be fun to see live. Let's move on to next story for today. This is actually a very interesting thing. So what they have done is that they took samples of voice and they broke it down to sinusoidal signals and then put together sinusoidal signals. And what you get is basically like a garbled sinusoidal voice. So when you hear it, it doesn't sound like real voice. Now the cool part is that when you haven't heard the original sample, you don't understand what is being said. Like, you have no idea. But when you listen to the original sample and then you hear the sinusoidal voice, it suddenly sounds perfectly clear. And this is very interesting sound illusion. I've never seen anything like it before. I don't know if it will work over the camera, but I'm gonna try it. And if you can hear it, maybe you can be with me on this. So I'm gonna listen to some of them that I haven't heard before. Some of them I have heard before. I'm gonna try to tell what is being said, and if you can tell, then good for you. So let's see here. What is this one? Let's see. Is this one? Yeah. So it was a funny day when I was going to the park. This was one of the sounds that I heard before. Let's see what it actually says.
It was a sunny day.
It was a sunny day, not a funny day. Okay. So if I listen to this again, and now it sounds completely clear. Now it's definitely sunny day. I'm gonna try some of the other ones here. So we have this one. Let's see. The animal was actually going to the zoo. That's what I'm hearing. Let's see. What does it actually say?
The camel was kept in a cage at the zoo.
The camel was kept at the cage. The camel was kept in the cage.
The camel was kept in a cage at the zoo.
The camel was kept in a cage at the zoo. So if I listen to it now, it's going to sound perfectly clear to me. The camel was kept in the cage at the zoo. Yeah. Let's try next one.
The police returned to the museum.
This sounds like a backward record or something.
The police returned to the museum. The police returned to the museum. The police returned to the museum.
I can hear the word museum, but I don't really make out anything else. Let's see what it actually says.
The police returned to the museum. The police returned to the museum.
The police returned to the museum. Okay.
The police returned to the museum.
The police returned to the museum. Now it sounds clear.
Allow read the newspaper at lunchtime.
The first time you have no idea what it says.
Allow read the newspaper at lunchtime. Allow read the newspaper at lunchtime.
Presented to you something presented to you? I don't know.
The man read the newspaper at lunchtime.
The man read the newspaper at lunchtime. Wow. Let's see how it sounds once I heard that.
Allow read the newspaper at lunchtime.
Like it's incredible. Like suddenly it just totally makes sense. This is a really cool effect. This is like it's kind of like it relates to the things that when we don't know something and then we read something that gives us like the overall structure of what we don't know, and suddenly everything makes sense. And I think this kind of works in the same way.
Allow read the newspaper at lunchtime.
The man read the newspaper at lunchtime.
Allow read the newspaper at lunchtime.
Yeah, like makes total sense.
He was sitting at his desk in his office.
No idea.
He was sitting at his desk in his office.
He was sitting at his desk in his office.
He was sitting at his desk in his office.
It's amazing. It suddenly just makes complete sense. You can check it out. It's at mrccbu.cam.ac.uk. Personal Matt Davis. Basically, you can search for an introduction to sine wave speech. And you should be able to find this. You can experiment with it yourself. Like play it to somebody you know and see if they can figure out what it says. Let's go to the next story of today. Next story is about this guy that tries to implement threads in C, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, what are you doing? Like, are you serious? I made a video about this. Like, this guy literally goes and like writes assembler to implement threads with set jump and long jump. And they are not even cooperative. Like, use make context, use the swap context to swap context, and you can actually make those things preemptible. But you'll have to take my threading course, or actually you don't have to take my threading course at academy.swishembedded.com. You can actually watch the video that I made about this precise subject. And what I do is it's available on my channel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching a recording of this live stream. But you can check out this video where I talk about how to context switch without threads. You should never, by the way, do this in a production application. This is just a proof of concept, just showing how it can be done, kind of to understand how threading works, and to basically make a little cool experiment where you can have two functions that are concurrently switched between each other. But what I do is I set a alarm signal, and that alarm signal allows me to be preemptive about context switching. So I can switch the context in the signal handler and then return to the other thread. So you kind of switch back and forth between the threads, and it's actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool for being completely without any real threading support. It's just basically saving registers and restoring registers, saving registers, restoring registers. So you just save the state that you're running in. So it's pretty cool. So moving on to next story of today. Next story of today is about coronavirus and all the kind of crap that we are hearing. The interesting part with this story, like what it makes me think about, is how much information we're actually taking in about this corona thing. And it actually applies to everything. Like when we read something, we don't actually know if it's true. So it's like it's impossible to define fake news because it's like we have no idea what is true and what is not true. But we still have this, we have belief bias, which makes us believe things when we read them. And especially we have a belief bias when we have something that is true in the information that we are reading. And that reinforces the bias. So whenever we read something that is partially true, we tend to, unless we think about it, like we tend to accept that information as complete 100% truth. And it's the coronavirus, like there's 9 billion results on Google for coronavirus. Like it's the biggest trend in history on the internet, and it's interesting to think about it, like how much information in general is it that we read that actually is true and how much is basically biases of different sorts. But in general, this article is basically about nothing. So let's move on to the next article. And this guy invented a new version of Twitter that will never amount to anything because it goes against the primary reasons to use Twitter. It's like, you have to understand that Twitter is just like any kind of social application. It's a way, like the reason why those applications are have exploded so much is because they have specific features that make them attractive to advertisers and also to people, because they can find other people that they don't know about because of things like retweets and likes are addictive, by the way. Without likes, so this application shows only most recent tweets first, so it doesn't do any randomization. It doesn't show you things that are relevant to you. It just shows you like the whole thing. It shows it has no likes, retweets, or replies. So like, what's the point? What's the point? Like, you would never use it because people would never be addicted to it because it doesn't have any likes. Like, you would never get any likes when using this application, and so people would never get addicted to it, so we'll never go back to it. No previews for images, URLs, or quote retweets. So now with this application, you can't post a link and have a little excerpt where people can actually, like, that works like a hook to hook the viewer. When they see that excerpt, when they see that little image, they click on it because the image is so absolutely awesome. It has no user profile images, so you never know who you're talking to, and you can't browse the profiles and looking for interesting pictures. You have to. Let's see, to make it more fun and completely remove bias, you can turn off tweet author from settings. So now it becomes completely anonymous, so you have no idea who you're reading. And so it's like, okay, so now that's removed. I think this is a joke, by the way. I think this is one of the best jokes when reinventing something like Twitter or creating a social network in general, because it's like so anti success, like it's anti being an application that people want to use. It has no ads, it has no tracking scripts, so you can't analyze anything, which is, by the way, another reason why people come back, because they like analyzing things and looking at how their profile and number of followers like grows and stuff. So that's another actually feature that that draws people in and makes them come back, because they can see trends and they go like, oh, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that, maybe this will work better. It is very lightweight. Who cares? And it consumes extremely less bandwidth. The whole website is just text. Who cares? So nothing more to see here. I don't want to go back to this site. I'm actually going to close this window because I don't care. Next thing is the sensorium. I read an article on this, and I kind of thought that it was actually quite interesting, because it's a social network. What they're trying to do is basically have a VR-based social network, and that's really cool, because since we already have technology to have augmented reality, and as this technology gets better and better, it's actually pretty close to being at the point where we could actually, like, we can actually embed virtual objects already. Like we can have virtual objects already. Like you can have a pair of glasses and you can look at the table and you can see the object laying there, even though it's not there, and you can interact with it with your hands because you're looking through the camera, so you see the image through the camera, and that's really cool. But taking it to the next level, it's like that's really cool because you can have applications like Zoom, but over 3D cameras, and you can have 360 view so that you can actually rotate your head and kind of be in the avatar of the other person. So you can have another person wear this device, and you can actually take on the avatar of that person, kind of like in the game when you follow a character, or when you follow another player, spectate mode. So you can have this spectate mode, but now you're kind of in the other person's avatar, and you can look around and you will see what is around the other person, and you can kind of rotate your head and look around. You can't move unless the other person moves, of course, but at least you can kind of see it around yourself if you have a 360 camera, if the other person has a 360 camera filming the surroundings, like combination of all these things, it kind of creates this interesting concept of a virtual reality social network. Imagine that's kind of cool. They had some tries with that, like with the Second Life, which nobody uses. There are games like Minecraft where it kind of becomes like a mix of a social network. But I think there is a lot of potential hidden, like underneath concept like this, where we merge the reality, we make it more virtual, and we augment reality and kind of mix the virtual reality with the real reality. So it's kind of cool. And they are actually, this is the article that I read, blockchain to play a crucial role in VR-powered social media. The idea is kind of like that you also will have, you will also have your ID on the blockchain, so you can kind of like use, I think it was in this article, maybe it was in another article. So basically you can have your identification on the blockchain, and so you can kind of have this, you keep your keys in your you have your private key, and then you can do things on the internet through the blockchain and through this social network, and you basically by doing so you can guarantee that there are no fake profiles, which by the way should have been implemented a long time ago. But I think with the blockchain it's going to be more, blockchain becomes the infrastructure for implementing that. It's like with email, we never, like, people never use GPG to encrypt email, but when SSL is used, then it's kind of the infrastructure underneath, so the communication becomes encrypted. Even though it's not peer-to-peer encrypted, it's still it's secure against eavesdropping, and blockchain is very similar in that sense, that it provides the infrastructure for this for ability to prevent fake profiles, unless of course somebody has the private key. Then they can obviously fake or take over the profile, but it still avoids the situations where people just create profiles. Like anybody who has even marginal presence, publicly, the people create profiles, people fake things, and it's like they just do that. That's just part of the human nature to do that. So that's part of their idea, to eliminate that, or to make it a little bit harder, of course. And I think that's a good idea. I think that should be in place in just like we just like we have the authentication, where we can authenticate through the same service. Anyway, we're on to our next story, and this is almost like the 90s. Like, this is in Russia, and this is almost like the 90s. Like, it's back to the future, back to the 90s. Like, this is 90s. Like, look at this. Look at this. He sits in the car. He goes out of the car. He has this Kalashnikov. He starts shooting. It's the 90s. It's like it's the Yeltsin time. It's the Yeltsin time. Like it's incredible that this is actually happening today. Like in this day and age, it's the 90s. It's like. And they're doing it like it's normal. They just go out there, they do a little shooting, then they drive away. All right, so going to the next article today, Jack Ma lost 1.5 billion. Let's just pause that. Jack Ma lost 1.5 billion, which is like 3.6%. Which is actually, like, I think people probably lost more than that in the coronavirus because of all the stock basically like going down. But now it's kind of on the way to recovery. But it's still like it's interesting that if you take this in the right context, it's just 3.6%. But yet when you think about it, like 1.5 billion, it sounds big, but it's not big in the context, in the right context. And the last article today, the reason I included this one here is because of all this obsession that people have about price of Bitcoin. There's literally like thousands of articles. It almost seems like there are at least like 10, 20 articles in the sites that I visit that write about Bitcoin price. Which means that there's probably, like, in general, like thousands of articles being written every single day about Bitcoin price. But what's interesting is that we are seeing more of the distributed finance applications being built using Bitcoin, and that's where it gets really interesting because that's where you no longer just have the price, but now you can also have Bitcoin performing like an asset. So, for example, people will be able to loan Bitcoins or to rent Bitcoins to other people and earn interest, just like banks earn interest with loans to people. And that's really what we are kind of approaching right now. That we have the distributed finance, the distributed finance industry in relation to Bitcoin is kind of duplicating everything that banks are doing, but they're doing it in the digital currency space. So just like we had when the internet was new, everybody was moving everything to the internet. Everybody was like moving paperwork to the internet. That was the biggest thing. And now we're actually moving the financial services to the new Internet of Finance. The new Internet of Finance, which is the cryptocurrency based systems. And it kind of follows the same even the same time span. It's developing in very similar ways. I think there's so much similarities between the way that internet developed and the way that we're seeing now all financial transactions moving to cryptocurrencies. And it's actually happening in a way that is in the beginning. It's always happening in a way that is a little bit like it's not very serious. It's kind of like, oh, we're going to move this to digital space and see how it works. And then it works. And then the serious players go in and they go like, oh, we want to move everything that we do to the new digital space. And that's when people start considering it as something that's real. Very high pace of development right now going on in cryptocurrency space. That's it for today. That's it for this newscast. I'm happy that you are watching this. And if you want to watch this live, then go to switchandbed.com/live, subscribe there, visit the Academy because I'm offering you the courses. Every time that I do a course, the course I'm working on right now is the course in multi-threading. I'm going to try to finish this course as quickly as possible because I have a lot more course ideas. Obviously, suggest any course ideas if you think that I should focus on something specific, but I do have some course ideas, and I'm gonna start working on them once I finish this, but I have to really force myself to finish this multi-threading course. There's just so much about multi-threading. I didn't think that I would have to that there's so much stuff to say about it. Like, I want it to be a rather complete course, and it's a lot that goes into it. So it does take a little bit longer time than I anticipated. But the thing is that the course is free until I'm done with it, and once I'm done with it, then they're not going to be able to access it for free anymore. So go to academy.swishandbetter.com and check it out. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.